Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're diving into that fascinating intersection of faith and finance. We're going to break down the core principles from a pretty popular prayer for abundance and really unpack how it frames the journey to a financial breakthrough, step by step. So let's just kick things off with a big question, right? Is faith actually a financial tool? It's something a lot of people grapple with, that tension between your spiritual beliefs and the hard reality of your bank account. Well, the prayer we're looking at today confronts this question head on. Let's see what it has to say. We're going to unpack this whole journey in four key stages. We'll start with the internal stuff, the foundation, faith over fear. Then we'll shift into the practical steps with inspired action. From there, we'll look at the role of supernatural intervention. And finally, we'll get to the whole point of it all, abundant living. Okay, first up, section 1, faith over fear. The central idea here is pretty powerful. It says that real financial change doesn't start in your bank account, it starts in your mind. And this quote just captures that core conflict so perfectly. It doesn't pretend the emotional weight of money isn't real. The fear of bills, the anxiety, we all know it. Instead, it frames that fear as the number one obstacle that you have to intentionally, consciously choose to replace with faith. So this lays out two completely opposite ways of thinking. On one side, you've got the mindset of lack, which is all about fear and what the prayer calls the sting of lack. But on the other side, you have the mindset of abundance, which is defined by faith and a belief in overflow. The critical part here is that moving from one column to the other is a conscious choice. This brings us to this really key concept of abundant provision. And listen, this is not just about getting by. The prayer is aiming for immeasurably more, this belief in a divine supply that doesn't just meet your basic needs, but actually creates an overflowing surplus. Okay, so you've built this foundation of faith, but how does that actually translate into real-world results? Well, that brings us to section 2, inspired action. This is where we move from mindset to the tangible, practical steps of building wealth. The prayer outlines this really powerful 3-step process. It starts with seeking wisdom for your financial decisions. Then it moves to actively producing wealth. And finally, it all culminates in generous giving. See, it's not just a list, it's more like a strategic flow of learning, earning, and then returning. And this is so crucial. This isn't about passively sitting around and waiting for money. It's an active prayer for the tools you need to create value. The ability, the wisdom, the creativity. It's kind of like a request to be divinely equipped as a co-creator in your own financial success story. This famous verse really gets to the heart of generosity. And the idea here is that giving isn't a financial loss. It's the very thing that activates receiving. It's presented as this fundamental law of the abundance cycle. Giving literally creates the capacity for you to receive more. All right, next we explore the third element, supernatural intervention. This is where the prayer moves beyond your own personal effort and asks for divine assistance, or what it calls financial miracles. And the range of requests here is incredibly specific. We're talking about supernatural debt cancellation, protection from scams, getting divine business ideas, finding the right mentors, even having perfect timing in the market. It's essentially a comprehensive appeal for a supernatural edge in pretty much every financial area you can think of. And to ground these big spiritual ideas, the prayer gets super practical. It asks for divine favor in 3 very specific modern scenarios. When you're trying to get a loan, when you're negotiating your salary, and when you're trying to grow a business. It's a request for an unearned advantage in tangible, everyday financial dealings. So after all this, shifting your mindset, taking action, asking for intervention, what's the end goal? What's the point? That brings us to our final section, the outcome of abundant living. What is the ultimate purpose of this financial breakthrough? This quote right here, this reveals the central purpose. Wealth isn't for hoarding. The goal is to become a channel for blessings to flow to other people, to support your community and other causes, and to make a real, tangible, positive impact. And this shows a really holistic vision for the abundant life. It's not just about having a large bank account. It's a balanced portfolio of financial peace, the capacity for generosity, building a lasting legacy, and even fostering family unity around your finances. So ultimately, the prayer outlines a complete transformation. It starts with an internal mindset shift, moves to inspired action and intervention, and it all culminates in a life where wealth becomes this powerful tool for a greater purpose, achieving personal peace, supporting your community, and building a generational impact.
And this leaves us with a final question. Regardless of your spiritual framework, what is the true link between what we believe is possible for ourselves and what we ultimately achieve in the end? Something to think about.